Good morning. Oh, I've got lots of lights on that I don't need. Oh, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Sunday. Morning, crummers. Morning, corkscrews. Morning, everybody. We're going to get started in just a moment. There's a minute there on the clock. But if you're new here, if you're first time, hi, I'm Lou. I write recipe develop various bits and pieces of Crumbs and Corkscrews, the blog, the Facebook page, the YouTube channel, the group, all of that bits and pieces. And every Sunday we do a live bake or a live dessert or something here over on the main Facebook page, and it goes out to everywhere, sort of across the social media. But you can also watch this on replay, so if you're catching up, hello as well. Just whilst we give the last minute for everybody to get in, I can see the little counter going up. Let me know as usual wherever you are in the world, if you're joining for the first time. If you're back again, it's lovely to see you. We're here in the middle of the Cotswolds, and this morning, if I do a quick weather check, it is very foggy and misty and grey, and oh yeah, it's not very nice out there. But we're here in the kitchen. We're going to get a little bit of a no-bake dessert going on this morning, we're keeping on with the Christmas theme. So as you see, we're going for a Black Forest cheesecake, and this is a no-bake cheesecake as well. So I'm really excited to do this. I love Black Forest. So hopefully we are going to have some fun this morning. And there we go. Let's go. Let's not hang around this morning. So good morning. Yes, we are going to be doing a Black Forest cheesecake. And this cheesecake is seriously easy. If you've seen any of the cheesecakes before on the channel, or if you've seen them on the blog, these no-bake cheesecakes are super simple. They take in all, if you're doing it without all the bits and pieces and all the talking, about 15 to 20 minutes to prepare. You can then pop them in the fridge and leave them to chill overnight. So there's no water bath, there's no faffing around, there's no baking, there's no cracking. It's really simple to do. The kids can get stuck in because there's lots of mixing and bashing biscuits up, and then you pop it in the fridge and it's there, it's ready. So if you want to make one for, say, a Christmas or a holiday dessert, you can make it a couple of days in advance, ready for you to serve it on the day. So this is a really another good one that you can do. So we are going to make a Black Forest cheesecake. So that's sort of really, it's all those flavours, that really dark chocolate, and we're going to be putting that into our cheesecake filling. We're going to be using dark chocolate digestive biscuits for a biscuit base, or you could use Oreos. We're going to be putting in some black cherries in there, a little bit of alcohol. If you're not that way, you can always leave that out. And we're going to bring it all together into this no-bake cheesecake. And then once that's all set, I'm going to decorate it with some whipped cream and some more cherries and chocolate shards. So if you've ever had a slice of Black Forest cake or Black Forest gatto or anything like that, it's all those flavours all combined into our cheesecake. So I'm really excited about this one. I love it. I have memories of Black Forest cakes and this little patisserie called Drucker's, which I now think, having looked at it, is now Patisserie Valerie here in the UK. And I always remember on a Saturday going up into this little patisserie with my mum at home in Coventry, and then walking up the stairs into this cafe area, and then looking at all the cakes and always wanting a Black Forest because it had the most chocolate on it. Not sure 6-year-old me should have been having the alcohol-soaked cake, to be quite honest. Probably explains a lot. Anyway, for our ingredients then, it is as simple as our method. Like I say, we're going to be using dark chocolate digestives for our biscuit base. You can use regular digestives or plain digestives, or even chocolate chip cookies, or something like an Oreo. Actually, Oreos would be really deep and dark, that really intense chocolate flavour, and I've used those in the Bailey's cheesecake, which you'll find on the blog. But I'm using dark chocolate digestives because they are my favourite. You could also use a chocolate bourbon cream as well, which we've used for the Malteser cheesecake on the blog. So you can use those. You're also going to need a little bit of butter. We're going to melt this off, and this will help bind our biscuits together when they're all crushed. We're going to need full fat cream cheese. Now that's in the fridge, which I'm going to grab out, as well as the cream. You want to bring this up to room temperature just a little bit before you start mixing it, because it's cold. If it's straight from the fridge, you can get a few lumps coming through there. So take it out. You don't want it to be too soft, but take it out sort of like I have just now, about 10 minutes before you need to use it. So this is full fat cream cheese, and full fat means it all works with the cream in order to help bring our filling together, help it set. You can use lower fat cream cheeses if you want, and I know my mum does when she makes this, but you will find that your mixture might not set as well. It'll be a lot looser. So at Christmas, if we're not doing all the watching what we're eating, go with the full fat version. And this is just Philadelphia. You can use any sort of store full fat cream cheese. Obviously not one of the ones with the flavorings like chives or anything, but I know you can get a Milka Philadelphia now, so you could use a chocolate cream cheese as well and add some extra chocolate to it. If you can get block cream cheese, and it's not so readily common here in the UK, but if you can get block cream cheese like you can in the States, that works just as well. It's that fat content that's going to hold everything together. So that's our cream cheese. In here, I've measured out my double cream or heavy cream, or I saw what you guys call it in Australia, and I can't remember what it is now. But it's heavy cream or full fat double cream here in the UK. You can also use whipping cream again, and it's that fat content that we want, that binds with the cream cheese and gives everything its stability when it sets. So that's our cream. We're going to run some melted dark chocolate through our cream cheese filling. So this is just regular dark chocolate. I've got the ingredients I've got for an 8-inch cheesecake. But we're going with, I'm halving this a little bit because I'm making a smaller one because there's a lot of dessert in this house. So we're going with the dark chocolate there. We're going to add a touch of icing sugar as well through our cheesecake mix, and this just helps bring the sweetness. Dark chocolate could be bitter, so that's going to counteract that there, and just add that touch of sweetness to our cream cheese and our double cream just to bring it all together. Well, we're going to be using, you can use, if you want to, a liquid. Oh, hold on, what does Mick say? The video doesn't look clear today. Oh, hold on. I'm just gonna tweak the focus. Does that look better? Good morning. Oh, thank you. She says I look lovely. I've just had a shower. Let me know if that looks any clearer. The thing is, it can be Facebook that does it. So this all goes through the camera rig, but Facebook, what's the word? Throttles the output. So whereas you're used to something really, really clear and crisp, they can Sometimes they can bring it down. So let me know if that's any better. From what I'm seeing, just having played with the manual settings on the camera at this end, it's looking clearer. No. Okay. Still blurred. I can't see that here. Everything outputted is looking normal, so it could be Facebook, of which I'm sorry. Oh, but we can hear you. Oh, wow. Some people say that's a good thing. Some people would say that's not a good thing. Don't worry. Fingers crossed. If anyone else is seeing it blurry, please let me know and I'll try again. But I fiddled with the focus settings on the camera. It seems fine, but we'll have a look. Anyway, fingers crossed, maybe it come back. Alcohol-wise, the whole thing with the Black Forest tart, gâteau or a cake is that it's the black cherry Kirschwasser or the Kirsch liqueur that runs through it. If you look at the tradition of the Black Forest cake, as usual, the cherry brandy, everybody seems to have been buying it again on the shopping. So we're going in with Chambord, which is a black raspberry liqueur, which will be will happily sort of sit with all those flavors. If you're in Austria, they tend to use rum in theirs as well. The Black Forest is mainly due to the name, and it actually doesn't originate from the Black Forest region, but it all relates back to the liquid that's in it. Hold on, Lou's just said it's a Facebook issue. Oh, don't worry. Okay, thank you, everyone. Maybe when it finishes, if I'll also post the thing over to YouTube, because it's streaming on there as well, it might be a little bit better. Fingers crossed though. Come on, Facebook, don't do this to me. Not on a Sunday morning. If you don't want to add the alcohol, it's fine. You don't have to. You could maybe, if you wanted to, use a cherry syrup or a cherry cordial. We're going to be using tinned fruit today. Difficult to get fresh cherries at this time of year. You can get them in the frozen aisle, but I'm using, there's two different sorts of cherries that I picked up on the shopping, and then you've just got black cherries in syrup, in a light syrup, or you can get when you see all those cherry pies in the States, you can get a black cherry filling or topping. I don't know which one I'm going to use. I think I'm going to use the cherries in light syrup. If you're using these, if you're not, if you don't want to use the alcohol, you can use the syrup from the black cherries in the tin as well. I'm hoping this is all okay. I'm fingers crossed. Just having a look. Maybe it's me. Maybe my camera's gone, no, you're too blurry. We don't have anything on the lens. Hopefully. Maybe it's a little bit temperamental. Oh dear. Let's keep fingers crossed. Let's keep going anyway. Let's keep going. So this is all our ingredients. If you want to whip the cream on the top, you can use make sure you've got a little bit of leftover cream there. In terms of equipment, you're not going to need anything major. We're going to be using a food processor to crush our biscuits. You can just pop them in a Ziploc bag and bash them with a rolling pin. Great for the kids. You're also going to need a very large mixing bowl as well. We're going to be using a handheld mixer to whip all our cream up. So, oops, that's off camera. You're going to want one of them with the whisks on it. We're going to strain our cherries. So we've got a sieve and a bowl. But for everything to set in, you're going to want a tin. Now, I recommend using a springform tin. These are the ones with the clamp on the side because it means we can open it right out and get our cheesecake out nicely, and we'll talk about that as well. The tins tend to have a lit side that you can see here, and then a raised side. Some people say to do your cheesecake with the raised side up. That means that when it's in the tin and it's clamped on, we can slide our cheesecake off easily. Because if you put it with the lit side, like the indented side, our cheesecake is going to sit in that, and it's difficult to get off the base. What I do, therefore, I'm just trying to make some room. What I do, however, instead, let's get into this, shall we? Let's get started. Is I'll take a little bit of a baking parchment and my base, because my tin doesn't like clamping on the other side. So I'm going to place that there with a little bit of baking parchment that sits over, doesn't need to be anything neat. It sits over my base there. And then what I can do is put it the right way up. So I put it on top and make sure my spring form is as wide open as I can get it. So make sure the clamp is all the way around. I place it over the top. Oops. And then just hold it there and clamp it all together. You can see then my base of my cheesecake tin is lined, and I've got a little bit of a skirt around the outside. You can cut that off if you want to. And that means then when we take our cheesecake out and unclip here, we can just slide our cheesecake off our baking parchment. It says great tip. Great. I'm glad you can still hear me. That's the only prep we need to do for this one. So that can go out the way. And we can then get started. So the first thing we're going to do is make our cheesecake base. So we want our food processor. Just going to move a few things around here. And we're also going to want to melt our butter. Now we're going to crush the biscuits to a really fine sandy texture. Then we're going to add melted butter into that to bring it all together into that wet sand, you know, the sort where by the edge of the sea it's really quite thick but still sandy. And that will make our cheesecake base and it will hold it all together. So before I start to crush these, I'm just going to pop the butter into a small saucepan. She says, doesn't want to come out. And I'm going to melt this gently on the hob for a moment or two. You don't need to do this on a hob. If you've got a microwave, you can do it in that. I don't have a microwave, as we have figured out. So just my butter in there, and on a low, gentle heat. There, that goes. And then into the food processor, we're just going to break the biscuits up into chunks and try not to eat them. These are, I say, dark chocolate digestives. You can use Oreos or normal biscuits or milk chocolate chip cookies or plain digestives or bourbon biscuits. I wanted, because it's Black Forest is synonymous with dark chocolate, I wanted the dark chocolate biscuits there. You could always, and I was thinking about it last night, and you know, Black Forest cake, Black Forest tart, Black Forest gatto is all about those chocolate cake layers that have got the cream and the cherries between them. If you wanted to, you could bake this as a layer of cake to start with, and then build your cheesecake filling on top. bake the cake, put a nice layer of chocolate ganache, and then build the cheesecake filling on the top. Or you could go with a brownie base as well to really get that chocolate through everything. Oh, Nikita! Oh, sweetheart. Right. Oh, Auntie Lulu's in the kitchen. She is. So in here, we've got our biscuits. Now, you can do this by hand if you want to. Just pop them into a freeze bag, a Ziploc bag that sort of does really well, and just bash them with a rolling pin. And that's great for the kids if they want to be doing it as well. You just make sure you don't bash too much and split the bag. But if you've got a food processor or a mini chopper, you can do this in batches like this. So we've got our biscuits in, and it's going to take just a matter of seconds, but it's noisy. Remember, we said we're looking for a fine, sandy texture. We don't want any big lumps. Big lumps in here, big lumps of biscuit. Although you feel that you've got the mother load when you get a chunk in your cheesecake. Actually, when you go to cut the cheesecake up, if you've got those lumps in there, it's going to cause the base to break up. So we want a nice, fine, sandy texture. I can hear the butter is ready. Yep. Now you can do this in the microwave with the butter. If you have a microwave, just 30-second blasts straight through, and you want it to be melted down. We're not browning our butter or anything, so just melted butter is perfect. And you can do this with, I think I've said before, with gluten-free biscuits as well. My sister-in-law is celiac, it's gluten-free, and she did a tart with these. Oh, I've got a big chunk of biscuit in there. We don't want that. She did a tart with these, with gluten-free biscuits in the same way, and it worked really well. So you can make that gluten-free. I've just spotted a large chunk of biscuit, so I've just taken that out. So into my crushed biscuits, I'm just going to add my melted butter. I'm just going to pop this aside because I'm going to need it for melting some chocolate shortly. I'm just going to use the same pan. And off we go. We put our butter in there with our biscuits. And you can see it's going darker. That's the butter combining everything together and getting that nice, wet, sandy texture that we're talking about. If you are doing this by hand, what you would do at that point is obviously put the biscuit crumbs into a bowl and add the butter and bring that all together by hand. Okey-doke. Once you have your sandy texture crumbs, you can see they're a lot darker, you can pour that straight into your prepared baking tin. I'm just going to take the centre out because that always gets me. And again, you can do this with individual cheesecakes if you wanted to. If you wanted to make a gluten-free base for one person, but they were still able to have everything else, you could do these as small versions. You could do them in little jars. If anyone's got a stash of the goo pot jars that we seem to have millions of, you can do them in those or in glasses or things like that. So we've got our crumb in here, and just with a spoon now, we're gonna make sure, push it all the way out to the center and push it down and as level as possible. Oh, it smells good. If you want to bring it up the sides a little bit, just push in and push up the sides so you get a little bit of a lip round. And you can find more about that on there's the Danish cheesecake recipe, where we actually bought the filling, the crust all the way up the side, so it's a bit more of a cheesecake pie than just a cheesecake on a base. So here's our base. See, as you see, I've leveled it all off and brought it round to the sides. This is now going to spend about a week. We normally spend half an hour in the oven, in the fridge, sorry, but we might not have all of that time, but it needs to chill. If you can leave it in the fridge for at least half an hour or an hour, that'll help all that butter set really well together before we pop our cheesecake filling onto the top. So that's quite easy. That was that one time. Let's just have a move around of some bits and pieces, because we don't need that anymore. I'll tell you, when we get a new kitchen, I can't wait to show you it. Oh, so much more room. So then, our cheesecake filling, as we said, is very simply full of fat cream cheese, double or heavy cream, and a little bit of icing sugar for some sweetness. And we're going to add chocolate, we're going to add the chambord, and we're going to chop some cherries through here as well. Now, the first thing I want to do is, because I'm going to be adding chocolate, melted chocolate into my filling, I want to melt this first very gently and then let it start to cool down. So when we add it into the other ingredients, it's not going to shock it or anything. It's not going to cause anything to split. So we're going to melt this first, again on the hob for me. So I just use the same pan with a little bit of water in the bottom of the double boiler. And off that one goes. Again, if you've got a microwave, 30-second blasts, and that's your lot. That's all you need. When you're melting chocolate though, don't be tempted to take it all the way to that melting point so it's all melted, because you've got the possibility that you'll burn the chocolate or it will seize. So take it in 30-second blasts, see what it looks like. If there's just still a little bit of chocolate that hasn't melted, leave it at that, but just stir around, and the residual heat from the rest of the melted chocolate will help melt those final bits of chocolate, but just be very gentle with it. So that's on over there, and we can get the other bits and pieces sorted. I'm going to use these black cherries in light syrup, or do I use do you know what, for ease and the fact that I don't want to try and open a tin on camera, I'm going to go with the cherry filling. We're going to go with this one rather than the light syrup, because I need to find the can opener. And this one's got a wrinkle on it. Yes, I'm that person. So we're going to then open up our jar. Oh, wow. I've never used these before, so you'll have to forgive me. I am going to strain it off because I want to separate some of these cherries out from my mixture and then save the rest for the top. So this looks like it's quite a thick filling. Oh my life, yes. Oh, it smells very cherry. Very, very cherry. My mum is going to love this cheesecake. My mother was raised in Germany, so she's sort of quite heritage-wise, although she's now British, naturalised. But every year, her favourite thing, one of her favourite things is cherry. You know, the cherry chocolates with the whole cherry and the cherry liqueur in them. Things, and we normally we'd be going to the Frankfurt market in Germany, in Birmingham this year, the German market, but alas, I don't think it's happening, and with COVID and stuff and tears and things, just checking on the chocolate, I don't know if it's happening, but gutted. So The other thing we do is you can buy them in Aldi, and I did that the other year, and she spends time in Spain over the winter, and I sent her back with this box of cherry liqueur chocolates all wrapped up, and she got back to where they spend their time in Spain, and then I get a phone call to say, what was in the box? I was like, cherry liqueurs, Mum. Why? So the dog's eaten a lot of them. But she'd put them on the side, and the dog had had the lot. The dog is fine, because they're dark chocolate as well. I just don't think the dog will go near a cherry brandy liqueur chocolate ever again. This is sort of going really nicely through now, and I can see I've got big cherries in there and lots of this lovely cherry syrup. So if you're not using alcohol, you can use this syrup through your cheesecake filling instead. You can see it's all separating out nicely, or you can use the cherries in light syrup. Now I'm assuming this is going to be a little less thick than what we've got in the pie, in this one, in the pie filling, and this is Princess. And that's just an own brand. But see what you can find out and about there. There'll be lots of different ones. Oh, I can hear the stove going. So just going to check out the chocolate melting situation. That's nearly there. So that will start to cool down in a moment. Right then, our filling. So we're going to be using full fat. I've realised I should use my clean spatula. We're going to be using a full fat cream cheese. So this just goes straight in to our large mixing bowl. Like I say, full fat is key because it allows that fat content with the cream just to all combine. Ooh, that has got a bit blurry and stuttery there. It could be the could be Facebook. Hopefully that I just caught my eye, that did, mates. So yes, full fat cream cheese. It helps bring everything together and combine it well. So we're not going to over mix the cream cheese. Over mixing it will cause it to loosen and slacken off. So we're just going to do this first bit by hand with the spatula. Make it all nice and smooth. Remember, I took this out the fridge just before we started to bring it up to room temperature so it's nice and smooth. We're just going to then add our icing sugar in for the sweetness. And again, fold that all the way through. You can do this with a stand mixer, with a KitchenAid or a Kenwood, or using the hand mixer. But I suggest for this first bit where we're folding the cream cheese and the sugar together, just to do it by hand. If you've ever made cream cheese frosting and it's, oh, I've got stuff like that, and it's slackened and it's got really runny, it's probably because the water content in your mixture, in your filling, which you've pulled that out together, is just loosened off far too much. Right, let's turn that one off. I'm just going to grab the chocolate. Oop. So in here now, my bowl, just a little bit warm, is my melted chocolate, and it's just, there's just a couple of lumps still there needing to filter through. So I'm just going to stir that to allow those to melt with the residual heat. I'm just going to leave that to cool down. Now, putting that in is too warm for the filling, so it will shock it and it won't be very pleasant. So next off, we're going to be doing this bit with a hand mixer. Let's just unhook some bits and pieces. Again, you can do this by hand or with a balloon whisk if you prefer. What we're looking for now, so we're going to whisk in our double cream, and we're going to whisk this together so it's nice and thick and creamy. We're not going to go over with the cream, but we want to bring it into that sort of, you know, the stiff, thick peak of double cream that you get when you're whipping it up. I'm just trying to, I've got rolls with things in all over. Let's go there. So this is our cream cheese and our icing sugar, and then in with our double cream. Oops. Which I pre-measured out, and I've also saved some for to decorate the top with as well. So straight in. Let's get rid of another one. And in with our hand mixer then. And we're just bringing it together, just getting that thick double cream texture. It's not going to be, let's just get a bit of beater. It's not going to be as thick as it would be if you're whipping double cream, because obviously we've got other things in there like the cream cheese as well. But it's a nice thick consistency. And that's what we're looking for. If it's not whipped enough, when you put it in the fridge to chill and set overnight, it won't combine as much. If it's over whipped, then it will be quite it can feel quite clangy when you eat it. So it's getting that nice combination of a nice smooth, almost creamy, frosting-y sort of feel. It wants a little bit of resistance as you mix through. As you can see here, it's not sloppy, it's sort of holding itself together. Right, where to start next? This is where we're going to start with all the fillings. So the chocolate is still a little bit warm. So I'm going to go in with my cherries and my liqueur. So with the liqueur, if you're doing this, you want about 25 mils at the most, or a tablespoon. The same with the syrup. So, like I say, we didn't get any cherry brandy, so I'm using a black raspberry liqueur, which is Chambord. In that goes. There's not much of that left. That's Christmas. Give it a good mix through to start with. Don't let it sit, because it can cause things to split out. If you want to add more, by all means add more, but do not add more than about 50 milliliters, because it can make this quite runny. So with our cherries then, where we split out our syrup, if you're using the syrup or the liquid instead of that, you can put it through. For this though, I want to add, I'm not going to chop these cherries because they'll just be they're too soft. So I'm taking a good couple of spoons through there, and I'm saving some for the top. Actually, that's probably enough. And I've got the syrup in the bottom. So this is the messy bit. I've split my syrup out and I've got my cherries, and I've put about half of the cherries from that can into here. You can use fresh cherries if they're in season, or frozen cherries, or anything like that. There we go, we're back. Our cherry is normally a layer of chocolate cake, a layer of cream with the cherries on there, and then soaked in the Kirsche as well. But we're putting it all in here. And if the cherries mix up, it's fine, it's not a problem. So we've got our cherries and our Kirsche in here, and our chocolate is cooled. I can touch the bottom fine. It's not hot. So in goes our melted chocolate. Oops. Don't let any escape. Oh, let's get it all in. If you don't want to use dark chocolate, you can use milk chocolate. Obviously, dark chocolate is more synonymous with the Black Forest cheesecake. So I'm just going to fold that all then through until it's evenly distributed. And I'm doing this with the spatula because I don't want to over whip it with the hand whisk, and also I've got that fruit in there which I don't want to destroy. If it breaks up whilst I'm folding it through, that's fine, but I don't want it to get too broken up. So let's just have a scrape down with that. I don't want any non-mixed bits of cheesecake in there, so get it all in from the bottom. I'm wondering if I've done something to my camera settings as well. I am going to check this out afterwards to see if there's anything there. So this is all mixed through. It's nice and thick and creamy. It's got the cherries in there. It's got the liqueur in there. And it's got the chocolate in there, ready to go in our tin. So this has been in there for about 20 minutes, if not a little bit less. As you can see, it's started to set now. If you can leave it in there for longer, definitely go for it. Definitely go for it. So all we now need to do, I'm just going to move whips out of the way, is pour our cheesecake filling into our tin. I'm just going to do this in a couple of steps today. Normally I put it all in, but I want to make sure that I get this right the way down and sealed onto that base. So I'm just put the first layer in and I'm just pushing it down into it. I'm not making it, not leveling it off just yet. So, and then, oh, this smells really, really good. And it smells of how I remember Black Forest cheesecake all those years ago in this patisserie sort of, which I think now is probably Patisserie Valerie Truckers in Coventry. It was this, it smells amazing. And what I remember is the little chocolate flakes up the side of the cake as well. And I made one of the first wedding cakes I made when I had the shop was a cupcake tower. My bride and groom had a Black Forest cake as their top tier with all these little mini cupcakes with fruits of the forest beneath it. And it had, they asked me to do, what was it? It was chocolate flake around the outside. It was amazing. I am thinking maybe this is a little bit blurry, meat. I've just had a look up. I'm not sure this morning. I'm going to have a look at that. Hopefully, though, it's not, you get the gist of the recipe. So I've put the second lot of cheesecake filling in there. And now I'm just leveling it off. Now you can do this with my trusty offset spatula if you want. I'm just doing it with a spoon because I don't need to know any more washing up. But I'm leveling it off, making sure it's all nice and level there. And this now is ready to go in the fridge. And we'll pop that in a moment. When you're taking this out though, this needs to set for about 6 to 7 hours in the fridge. If you can leave it overnight, make ahead, do so. It'll make life a lot easier, and especially take it out. But when you take it out, what you want to do, the best way, because we don't want to just pull this straight away because it's going to pull the cheesecake with it, is just to get a long, sharp, flat bladed knife, run it under the hot tap for a moment, under the water, and dry it off so the blade gets warm. And then just run it round the inside between the cheesecake and the pan. Don't go all the way down to the base because you'll start to cut into that, but just, just on the cheesecake. And then when you unclamp it, make sure you take that clamp as wide as you can and then lift it off. By running the knife around inside, it's releasing the cheesecake from the sides of the tin before we try and pull it away. So that's the top tip for doing that. But if anything, you need to leave it for at least 6 hours. So that's where this is going now, into the fridge for at least 6 hours, if not overnight, which it probably will be. So I've made a 6-inch cheesecake. That's going to serve probably about 8 to 10 slices. And actually is quite a decent sized cheesecake because it's quite thick. You can make this as a bigger cheesecake in an 8-inch one, and that's the ingredients that I've got up there. There's just slightly a little bit more on the ingredients front as well. But that essentially is our Black Forest cheesecake. I told you it was easy. And it's a great make-ahead dessert. So we're going to have a quick recap because this is not a bad one this morning, despite the fact it might be a bit blurry out there. I'm hoping it's not too bad. So then we made a Black Forest cheesecake this morning based on the flavors and the ingredients of a Black Forest gâteau. So the dark chocolate, cherries, that cream in there as well, and a little bit of the old Kirsche. But we've used the Chambord. And if you're making this as an 8-inch cake, it is about 10 to 12 slices. It's really rich and decadent, so it definitely is a Christmas Day dessert when you're just indulging in everything. We've got, because it is no bake, we're not having to faff, you're not having to water bath anything. You're not competing with the oven for anything else that you're doing over Christmas or baking. So you can make this one well in advance and then just leave it in the fridge ready for when you're ready to serve it. It's got that dark chocolate filling that we saw, that dark chocolate cheesecake filling full of the cherries and the Kirsche, or you could use the cherry syrup from the tin if you're using that, or fresh cherries. And it's got that dark chocolate digestive base, and you can use Oreos instead as well. Oreos would bring through a really deeper, darker look and taste, that chocolate taste to them. What I'm going to do once that's set is I'm going to use a little bit of the extra double cream that I've saved left over, and I'm just going to pipe it around the top, just like the cheesecake, the Black Forest cake that I used to see in the patisserie, with lots of little squidges of cream around the top, and then the leftover cherries, the pie filling here. We're going to be just, it smells so good, it smells really cherry. We're going to put in the middle of that, on top of the cheesecakes, we've got a bit more cherry in there as well, and then just some chocolate shavings or sprinkles over the top. So, and that can, like I said, can all be done in advance and left in the fridge for when you're ready to do it as well. If you don't want to use the Kirsche, use the syrup from the cherries, or a cherry cordial as well. Or if you don't want Kirsche or cherry brandy, I'd say I've used the black raspberry liqueur, the Chambord, or if you're Austrian, they tend to use rum as well. Something that's quite sweet and will work with the others. Ingredients wise then, like we say, very simple as well. We've got the biscuits for the base, got a little bit of butter to hold that all together. Full fat cream cheese. I can't stress it enough. It helps bind everything together. Now, I know my mum does it, and she does it with a lower fat cream cheese. You can do it that way. She does it, she likes it. She does say it doesn't set as firm, but if you want to, you can do it. Just don't at me if it doesn't feel right. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I've got a tickle. A little bit of icing sugar in there, then it makes everything a little bit sweeter, just counteracts a little bit of the cheesiness of the cream cheese. We've got the black cherries. We used a cherry pie filling, or you can use black cherries in syrup, or if you can get them fresh, by all means, fresh cherries as well are great. And that's that. Equipment-wise, like you've seen, springform tin, cannot suggest a springform tin more if you're making a cheesecake. Don't try and get it into a pie dish or into a cake tin or even a loose-based cake tin, because when you try and get it out, the whole thing's just going to end up as one amazingly delicious but messy dessert. So that springform tin, like we've just seen, means you can unclamp it and lift the sides off. And then we've lined our base with our little bit of baking parchment so we can slide it all off there. I used a food processor and a hand mixer for this, but you can do it by hand. You can bash the biscuits with a rolling pin and a Ziploc bag, or you could do the whisking of the cream into the mixture with a balloon whisk. It is a good one for the kids to get involved in because there's lots of mixing and stirring and bashing of things. So if you want a little bit of Christmas kitchen fun with the kids, go ahead. Why not give them a try? And that's it. I've got on the list here piping bag and nozzle and things, because I'm going to just pipe some little bits of cream over the top once we're done. But you know, you can leave it like that. You can even just pour the remaining of the pie filling straight on the top. You don't need to do anything else. But that's it. That is it for today. This has been our Black Forest cheesecake. It is in the fridge, as we've seen, and when it's time to come out and everything, I will share a photo, and I will be sharing the recipe, the full recipe for it. It has been it's been a manic week, and I've got a lot to finish writing up this weekend. So we've got the homemade mincemeat, we've got the reindeer with no name, or the reindeer with a lot of names now. This guy has a lot of names. If you haven't seen him, he's over on the page. The post will be going up later, but it's our coffee cake reindeer that we made in Wednesday's bonus episode. He's been named everything from Holly to Stan to Bernard twice. And I think we even got a Roger in there as well. And a Snowball, I think, Miss Nikita. But he'll be up as well, and then obviously the cheesecake is going to follow. I'll need to take some photos tomorrow because I need to let it set. That crucial overnight set. And then we'll be there. Wednesday's bonus episode. I can't tell you what it's going to be yet because I'm waiting to hear. I've got a couple of ideas that you guys have got out there. So I'm trying to think what we're going to be doing, but we will be doing a bonus episode on Wednesday unless everybody is escaping, if they're back into tier 2 and they can get out and about a little bit more, or if you're wherever you are as well. But we'll be I'll post that later in the week before Wednesday's live session. But this time next week, as always, we will be back here and we are doing another Christmas staple. Another one of my favourites. We're going to be making a chocolate Yule log. Hey! We're going to fill it again with a lovely cream filling, and we're just going to get that all ready and rolled up and ready to go as a chocolate Yule log, and we'll be putting that all together next weekend. So we're there. I was going to say, if I can find it, we can. If you made your Christmas cake last week, feed him today. I fed this one a couple of times in the week, but it's time to feed your Christmas cake. So mine is wrapped up in a layer of foil, and I can't take it. I'm going to feed him this morning with another 2 tablespoons of brandy, which is what I used in there. But it smells Christmas cakey. But, oh, come on. He's wrapped up in foil and then in a double layer of of baking parchment. So, and I glazed his bottom is on the top. Oops. But it's time to feed him this morning. So if you made your Christmas cake last week on Stir Up Sunday, give him a feed today, pop him back in the airtight container and keep him somewhere cool and dark until the following week. And we're going to be decorating him on the 13th of December in 2 weeks' time. But yes, it's getting close. Our Christmas tree went up yesterday. It was only because I can't be bothered to find somewhere to pack it whilst we wait to move house. So the Christmas tree went up yesterday. I put a little bit of a poll out. Most of you guys are waiting until December. You're so good. You're so good. I had to get it up. It feels quite cozy and festive in there now, and quite a little bit magical. So Christmas movies time, definitely. Elf as soon as we hit December. Anyway, in the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I hope it's not been too blurry. I'm going to go and try and find out what's been going on there. I hope wherever you are in the world, as always, you are safe and well. If you're here in the UK and if you're in any of the tiers, we're in tier 2 here in the Cotswolds. And my family, the rest of my family are in tier 3, which means I might not see them until next year. I'm so gutted. But I hope everybody stays safe and well, as always, and look after yourselves and look after each other. Be kind, and I will see you again next Sunday. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.